Oh, see, I didn't know. Thanks.
Perfect. And we do have people joining now, just heads up. It might take a minute for people to trickle in.
Hi, everyone. Thanks for joining us for the home visiting collaboration. I will introduce our speakers soon, but first, just a couple of reminders. This session is recorded and will be available on the conference platform 1 hour after the session ends. We want to hear from you in the chat. Feel free to ask questions or comment in the chat box on the conference platform. We recommend using the conference platform chat feature because that chat will be recorded with the session. Please keep yourselves muted unless the presenters ask you to unmute. So we'll go ahead and get started now. I'm excited to introduce Lori and Suzanne.
Hi, welcome. We're going to go ahead and pull up our PowerPoint. I bet people will probably continue to join. Is that right, Lori?
Yes, they will.
Okay. I'll go ahead and share my screen over PowerPoint to get started. There we go. Right. All right, welcome. So welcome to Home Visiting Collaboration. I'm Lori Arndt, and I work for Infant Toddler Services of Johnson County, and I have done so for 24 years. I have my master's in special education, and I am endorsed in infant mental health. I also speak in the area on sleep and behavior.
Hi, everybody. My name is Suzanne Swally, and I am a parent educator with the Shawnee Mission School District. I've actually been in the education field for 25 years. Previously, I taught 3rd and 5th grade. I'm just starting my 16th year as a parent educator for Shawnee Mission. And I have a bachelor's degree in elementary education and a master's degree in elementary counseling.
Okay, so I'm going to pause because I already forgot to click a button. Welcome to technology. I'm going to share again and okay, there we go. All right.
Okay, we're first going to start off just doing a little, give you some background information on home visiting 101. You know, I know there's different people from different agencies, but we just wanted to, because this is about collaborating with different agencies and at home visits, we kind of want to just go over some 101. So the first thing is, it talks about joining the family at times that work for them. As we all know, families have very busy schedules. They work full time, some parents work part-time, kids go to daycare, they have activities. So you want to choose a time that works for the family and the child. So it's important as a home visitor that you know that family's schedule. The next item is be on time. And I think that speaks for itself. We are all professionals and we just need to be on time. But I will say, like many of us who drive from home to home, there are times when something might happen. So I always make sure I have that family's phone number right near so I can call, I can text and let them know something came up. I'm going to be running a few minutes late, but being on time is important. The next one is establish rapport. And I will say, that's something that happens in those first few visits with families. And it's very important that, you do want to establish a good rapport with that family. You want to get to know them, ask open-ended questions so that you could feel comfortable sharing things with them and they feel comfortable sharing things with you. The next thing is to be considerate of the family's culture. I know I visit families from many different cultures. And that's part of that rapport, getting to know that family. It's very important that you're respectful of a family's culture. Some families I visit, it's important that I take my shoes off when I go in. I wear appropriate clothing. If they offer me coffee and a snack, that I accept it. And it's also important to understand the cultural differences in child development. Some families have different cultural beliefs in how they feed their children or sleep routines. So it's important that you understand that. Also, it's important to maintain professionalism. And as a parent educator, we have a curriculum that we follow. And so it's important that I stick to the facts. I give families information that, is from research and resources and our curriculum. It's not my opinion. You're organized. When you go into a visit, you have a plan from start to finish. You manage your time appropriately. Visits usually last around an hour. That's usually what parents are expecting. And you want to be positive and be supportive when you're working with a family. The next is safety. Safety for all participants. At all times, you should assess the safety when you're visiting a family. Sometimes you may feel it's best to have a visit away from the home if for some reason you just feel like it's just safer. So, you're always assessing. Maybe we'll have the visit at a center, a library, wherever. We actually at Shawnee Mission have gone through safety training several times. Simple little things like always park on the street, have your cell phone. Maybe if, let another parent educator or somebody know where you are at all times. And lastly, it's important that the home visits are family driven. Throughout, when we visit families, and I know ITS is the same way, we establish goals with that family. And it's important that when you're working with that family, that they help establish those goals with you. Because if you work together to establish goals and come up with activities, it's most likely that the family is going to do that on their own when you leave the home visit.
All right, next we're going to move to what collaboration means. The best way to define collaboration is the process of two or more people or organizations working together to complete a task or achieve a goal. It's two or more people working together to achieve shared goals. So 3 types of collaboration we use a lot. I feel like the business world talks about collaboration a lot. The 3 types that I feel like we use in our field the most are team collaboration. That's working together to complete a project. So Suzanne shared with me that they work together as a team to develop their annual calendar. So they sit down together and everybody takes a piece of that, and that is their end project. Community collaboration is what we do mostly during home visits. That's sharing and building knowledge, working together for the same goal. And that would be the parents' goals in collaboration. And then network collaboration is sharing knowledge for others. And we don't really know who's going to come get that information. Like we have posted the handout today on this platform. And so that's network sharing because we don't know who's going to take it, and that's okay. But that's for more specific situations.
Now we're going to talk about the benefits of collaborative home visits. And the first one, builds strong relationships between the community and the families. So, when we work with families, we start at a very early age working with these families to reach out for support in the community. And what we're doing is we're empowering those families so that they feel comfortable as their children get older, reaching out to community resources and being an active part of their community. In a family's community, there's going to be schools, medical services, recreation, enrichment, childcare, and much more. And we're trying as much as we can to start very early teaching them, you can do this. You can reach out to the different resources. Also, when we collaborate, it helps with the family's schedules. A lot of my families that I visit with ITS are usually my higher needs families. When Lori comes out with me on a visit, it's probably a family that is getting services and from different agencies. They also might have to go on a lot of doctor's appointments, plus they might work full time. So anytime we can collaborate and do things together, it can also help with the family's busy schedule. Second, or next is helps the families streamline information. We work together to give the parents ideas, come up with goals, and come up with activities. And when we collaborate, that improves communication and it simplifies it for a parent. Sometimes when parents are getting lots of different information, it can be very overburdening. And so by, streamlining information, it helps to not overburden that family with too much information. And then building stronger parent-child bond. So, a strong parent-child relationship is one that nurtures physical, emotional, and social development of a child. And through collaboration, we are teaching those parents to be involved in their child's development. And parents are going to build a healthy and strong relationship with their child when they work with them using the ideas and the suggestions that we come up with. And, that definitely helps with that parent-child bond.
All right, so now we're going to talk about the process between our two agencies.
So I'm going to kind of talk about all three of those things all together. I work for the Shawnee Mission School District, and in our program, we visit families with children 0 to 3 years old. And depending on the family, most families we visit once a month, but a lot of the families that I would collaborate with Lori with, it's very possible I visit bi-monthly because they might be families with high needs. So my job as a parent educator is to go during home visits to provide developmental information and activities for that family. And also part of my job is to look for any developmental delays, whether it might be speech issues, behavior, nutrition, anything that might come up that they might need some extra help in. And we look for these red flags by completing screenings, making observations, gathering information from parents. And when we do decide that, maybe this child is a little delayed in speech and we want to reach out to ITS, we would tell the parents to make that phone call. It's important, first of all, we're empowering that parent to reach out to a community resource. And also that first phone call that they make to ITS is part of the informational gathering process for ITS. And it's also important that we continue to assess and monitor the process. Once I tell a parent, I think it's a good idea to contact ITS, I will continue to monitor by emailing, calling, texting to make sure they reach them. Did you determine a date they're going to come out? And if they did come out, what were the results? What did they decide? Did your child qualify?
All right, so then, so kids start, a family could be with parents as teachers first, or they could be with infant toddler services first. So that could happen either way. But still, Suzanne and I, or whoever the parent educator are, the people, the primary provider with our agency, we're still going to communicate. So if parents as teachers refers to our program, we send 2 disciplines out, either early childhood special ed, which is what I am, with speech or OT, just 2 different, or PT, 2 different disciplines. And for our agency, in order for a child to qualify, they have to have a 25% delay in one area or 20% in 2 areas. We have a long list of reasons a child would auto qualify for our program. And sometimes that doesn't happen when they're having their first doctor's appointments. And so parents as teachers could find that that's something that happens and refer us. So if a child qualifies, we would write an individualized family service plan. And that's required by law. And we do that with the family. And that's where we write our goals or outcomes and the parents help write those outcomes. We like to have a few visits with the parents first as an agency so that we establish rapport as well, even though we know Suzanne or Parents as Teachers is in that home also. We send, as part of the process, we actually send, so that we're on the same page as Parents as Teachers, we send the IFSP to Parents as Teachers so that they have an opportunity to read the outcomes that we've written, so they know what the family's priorities are as well. And then we're going to schedule a visit in appropriate time for the family. And then we're going to start the process of collaboration at that point. So they've received Parents as Teachers. So if this is, or they're already getting infant toddler. So both agencies are in place in the home. And then we're going to start following the joint visiting guidelines. So this handout that I'm going to show you next was established in 2012 by Family Infant and Preschool Program. And it is shareable and it's on the platform like I mentioned earlier. So the next, this is hard to read and I know that, but we've broken it down and we've supplied it for you. But Infant Toddler Services uses this a lot. We went to primary coaching as a form of practice about 7 years ago. And we started out using these forms because we needed to define what was going to happen in a joint visit or a consultation visit, a collaborative visit. So it is, while we don't use it every time, you'll see later, and Suzanne and I don't use these all the time anymore because we've done it enough. But it's great for new employees. It's great for somebody that you might not have worked with before. So if I was going to work with an agency I was not familiar with, I would do that. This form is really nice. It really streamlines the visit. It streamlines the focus of the visit, and it helps the family be focused on the goal at hand.
So we're going to go ahead and go through a scenario of when using this form and what we've decided, what we've talked about to do a joint visit. And in this situation, we're both ITS and Parents as Teachers, myself, we are visiting a child named Tanner. I just made up a name. And they are getting services with Parents as Teachers, and they're also getting, he's also receiving speech through ITS. And in the joint visiting planning tool, I am the primary service provider, and Lori through ITS, the behavior specialist, is the secondary service provider. And we're just going to kind of go through this step by step. And Tanner is 22 months. And so if you look at the start, it says request for role assistance, question or issue requiring support of another team member. So right now, what Tanner is banging his head and throwing toys when he gets frustrated. These behaviors can lead to lengthy temper tantrums. So what the primary service provider, and mom need from Lori, the behavior specialist from ITS, is mom and I would like additional suggestions from ITS to help with Tanner's behavior issues, the head banging, the throwing toys, and the lengthy temper tantrums. If you go on to the next item, background information. Myself and mom are current knowledge and action taken regarding the question or issue. We've found Tanner's behavior is worse with mom than other family members. And right now, mom's been working on giving him choices, putting him in timeout. But when it gets extreme and he throws his toys or hits his head, last resort is she will put him in his room. And that sometimes works, she has said. Current child interests and activity setting that serves the context for intervention. Well, at the time of our joint visit, Tanner will be 22 months. So the developmental activity that we're going to talk about and use is going to be puzzle play. And one of the reasons is, first of all, it's developmentally appropriate, and also we are hoping to elicit some of those behaviors that mom is having trouble with. the frustration, the throwing of the toys. And she has said when he plays with puzzles, she'll see this sometimes. And like Lori has said, that's sometimes hard, but for her to help out, she needs to see those behaviors at the visit. And current parent priorities. Mom would like, new strategies she can use when he gets frustrated that will help with the behavior issues. So this is a time we kind of thought, is there any questions? Does anybody have any questions?
Lori, we can't see the chat box because I have the PowerPoint up, so.
I am not seeing anything so far.
Okay,
Okay.
we must be thorough.
You are.
Okay, so we'll go over the second part of this joint visit planning. So as Suzanne said, speech, he's already receiving speech services through infant toddler services. And so I'm brought in as a secondary provider. So the next conversation is we would need to talk about what it's going to look like when we go in. So what will take place with the family and who will talk to the family about the joint visit. So Suzanne and I will have talked about, is it going to be effective for Suzanne to go in first and help mom get the activity started and then I arrive a few minutes later? Or is it best for the family and the child for us to both come in at the same time? So those are conversations to have, because in the beginning, I am going to probably be observing. So the context for the visit and the rationale, we're going to do puzzles because that fits parents as teachers curriculum. And that will, mom believes that will elicit some of those behaviors. Sad but true, but we'll get there. So the person taking the lead in the visit, will it be the secondary service provider, SSP, or the PSP, the primary provider? So, and the rationale behind that. So we decided that Suzanne would take the lead because it was her original, they have called me in for strategies for the behavior. So when we get there, Suzanne would probably say, Mom and I have questions about how to help Tanner reduce his frustrations, or how do we stop him when he gets frustrated to make the tantrums go into a long and headbanging behaviors. So she's going to ask that. And so then my role as the secondary provider is to listen. Listen. I'm not going to go right in to what is happening. I'm going to listen to what mom says. I'm going to ask questions. Even though Suzanne has given me some great background information, it's important for us to go in and make mom a part of the team so that mom feels like that she has some power and ownership over what's happening in the visit. And then I'm going to ask her, because then I hear the information from her again, and she can make that focus kind of narrow for us as we go through the visit. So what's going to happen during the visit? We know that that puzzles are going to be out. And so Suzanne's going to preface this with what her goals are for that session and the puzzles. And as they're doing that, as a secondary provider, knowing that there's going to be that potentially there could be some behaviors, I would be coaching mom through that. So if I watch Tanner become upset because the activity is moving too fast, I might ask mom to slow down right there in the middle of the visit, because the point for me is to coach mom so that we can figure out how to reduce those tantrums. But right there in the visit, that's going to be my job. That's what Suzanne and I decided together is best for mom and how mom learns. And then is it too hard, or do I need to step in and model? And so these are things that you would discuss at this point, and it could change. So we have 3 separate things that could happen in the visit, depending how Tanner reacts to the strategies that we shared in the beginning. So the next one is the date and time for debrief of the joint visit with the secondary provider and the family. So we like to reflect with the family in the home, and I think that's really important because they're a part of the team. We want to know what they gained from the visit and what they're going to practice between this visit and the next visit. Even though I might have something that I would like them to practice, that might not be their idea. They could have taken something else that was going to work better for them. And so that's why we need to reflect into debrief in the home and see what the parent thinks is the best. We want it to be doable for the mom. So, because if we've tried 3 things to see how he's going to react for 3 things, we want her to kind of pick one to work on between the next visits. So at that time also, we're going to decide, is it going to be helpful for another visit with both of us? Are we going to collaborate again in the home? And if there's an awkward pause in the home, then I might say, you know what, you can talk to Suzanne after we, at your next visit, or you guys can text and we'll figure out what that might look like, because we don't want to put the parent on the spot. I mean, there's times that they want to work on it and they might just want to do it with Suzanne because they're more comfortable that way, and that's okay too. So then we would talk about reflection between providers and collaborative teams. We need to reflect also. We need to revisit what happened in the visit. We don't want to do a driveway. It says, where will this take place? Do not debrief in the driveway. It is not professional. We might be talking about our dogs or our own kids or whatever, but the family doesn't know that. So oftentimes we talk about driving around the corner and parking around the street if people want to get into somebody else's car or a parking lot or something. Suzanne and I usually call because we've done it enough. We can just call each other. And then we, on the way out to the car, would just say, I'll call you. And so that's the plan. It could be as fast as that. It does not have to be hard. The next thing is, how long do we have to discuss this? This is really important. It's important to have respect for your provider, your collaborative partner's time. We usually decide that it's going to be 10 or 15 minutes because that's how long it takes us to drive to our next home visit. And that's what we're going to talk about. That's it. That's what we get. We can follow up with text or email later if we want to, but right then and there, it's really important. And I highly recommend talking about it right afterwards because it's fresh. And it's just helpful to remember how the child reacted and how the mom reacted and what we think. And the part about collaborating is that Suzanne's take, because she knows the mom better than I do, is going to be greater information for me. And then what I thought also, it's just important to be able to talk about that. We're going to talk about the next steps. How did the visit go? Will there be a next visit? Will it be with one of us or both of us? What changes are we going to make? If I came in later and it was disruptive and we had to kind of start all over, then I would come at the same time next time. But if there's questions, what if we need to make changes, that's fine. And so in that follow-up, if we did not schedule a visit with a parent together for a collaborative visit, then Suzanne might follow up with me later and say, this is what mom requested. She asked if we could do a different activity or something like that. Any questions about that?
Lindsay said, as a former early childhood SPED teacher, I love this collaboration.
Oh, good. Thanks. Yeah, it's good. It's really helpful. And we'll talk about the effectiveness of it for professionals as a team in a little bit. So thank you for that. So the next we're going to show a video. And this is actually an interagency collaboration. This is with Jana, who is a speech pathologist with Infant Toddler Services. We did not fill out the formal sheet. Jana and I have worked together for about 12 years. So we had it in front of us for reference, but we did not just sit down and write it out. We decided we were going to meet June and June's mom at daycare. And so we met 15 minutes before the visit at the daycare, and they have an empty room at the daycare, and to go over it and what the needs were for me. So I would be the primary provider in this situation, and Jana is the secondary provider. Let me see if I can get this started.
Okay, Jana, my question is, how do we help June increase her language and really increase eye contact? I need strategies for at home and at daycare.
Okay.
June is 2.5, and she uses 5 to 10 single words. They're sort of quiet and under her breath.
Okay.
Like if you say, do you want help? She'll sign help and say, hep, hep.
Okay.
And sometimes it's a little louder, but sometimes not.
Okay.
There's inconsistent eye contact. So looking down, and I feel like that's a big piece to not maybe increasing some of that language, because she's not really looking to regard and see what's happening.
Need some more focus attention here to see the speech, see the sounds.
Yes,
Okay. All right.
definitely.
Okay.
She learned through music. Mom and June have a great back and forth. Like if she sings "Row, row, row your boat," she can stop and June can fill in the last word.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. Yes.
Okay.
And so that was a big window into learning language and some of the back and forth things.
Okay. I'm gonna write some of these down.
Okay. So
Thank you.
there's if you want it. So she's interested in movement.
Okay.
Really active when I first started, and that activity level has decreased a lot. So can
Okay.
work puzzles, can do some Goodwill likes the hammer. There's a little hammer toy that he has at home. He loves animals and dinosaurs, and she lines them up, but she does it's not to create a visual stim, it's just lining them up.
Likes organization.
Yes.
She likes organization.
She likes organization. And I think really my
okay.
ultimate goal is to increase that eye contact so that
Okay.
we can increase the language. And Mom, I've said both of these things to Mom. And so her biggest concern and priority is increasing the language.
Okay.
So let's talk about the visit.
Okay.
In the visit, would you like to take the lead, or do you want me to take the lead?
I would like you to take the lead. Because I haven't met June yet, I feel like seeing you guys all interact and how maybe you and Mom talk and how she likes to receive information, you guys can get started on some things, and then I'll just kind of embed myself.
Okay.
That'd be all
I
right?
think that's great.
Okay.
And so I'll probably follow their lead because Mom usually has to pick an activity.
Okay.
So we follow June around and do what June is doing, and then Mom will pick an activity and June will start with that. Join us.
Okay.
All
Any
right.
ideas what she's going to pick, just so I can be kind of prepared? Or you gave me some of the favorites, but
So at home, there are less dinosaurs and animals. At home, probably Mom would pick June to do, well, maybe I just suggest that Mom do a back and forth,
like one of their
their back
songs.
and forth songs.
That would be helpful. Okay.
Okay. Okay.
So, just to recap, we're gonna get there, and Mom's gonna start off with, maybe they'll be talking and you'll say, "Hey, can you show us that song that you were doing with her last time or something?" And so that'll get you in there. And as you guys are interacting, then I might say, "Is it okay if I go ahead and come closer now? I want to try some things," and I'll ease in.
I think that's great.
Okay. Here's some things I'm thinking,
Okay.
just so you're prepared as well. So if Mom says, "I want language," and you say, "I want eye contact," and so we know that those are combined, those are the best. What we can do is something as simple as, let's say she is playing with those dinosaurs. We'll just put the dinosaur in her face. Roar. And we'll make big open mouth sounds for her to see, but she's also, it's not eye contact, but it's you were talking about that focus and attention.
Yeah.
It's focusing here where it
Okay.
needs to be.
Okay.
And then if we really need to get some avid eye contact, we can move to that. So that would be what I would just call like a face-to-face or near the mouth.
Okay.
The other I'm thinking about is, because you said she likes to line things up, would be like, let's take dinosaurs for example again. We would put a dinosaur, right? They're all lined up, and we would do like a one-on-one correspondence. You know, this is teacher, right? That we would say, dino.
Okay.
Point and label. There's nothing she has to do right now.
Okay.
Later, we can go dino. Pause and wait.
Oh, I like that. Because she's already doing that with songs. So that could be
Right?
a really great transition into labeling other things.
Yes, so I took the song idea and said that's something they like to do socially together, right? It's important for both of them to have that time together, and it's working. So let's say she's going twinkle, twinkle, little. June says star.
Yeah.
We're going to backwards chain that now and say twinkle, twinkle, little. Now she can fill in little star. So we're going to expand on what they're already doing.
Okay. Okay.
Those are some things I think we could try and show.
I love that. And I think Mom's going to love that.
Perfect.
Okay.
Okay, so if
Awesome.
anything changes, let me know. Otherwise, I'll see you there next week.
Okay, thanks.
Okay. Oh,
Okay, Jana, my
oh,
question.
hold on. Technical difficulties.
Hi.
Okay, here we are on the next video. Okay, so this is actually, so best laid plans, right? This is mom, this is June's mom, and we are at the daycare, but June is asleep. So we already had everybody there. So we just did the visit without June. And this is where we are. And I'm sort of on autopilot and videotaping myself. So it's funny, I say fish, 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 because I look at the video here and it's fish, fish, duck. But we didn't have any dinosaurs and the child wasn't with us. So it's way more calm. But here is a snippet of what the visit would look like.
Hi, this is Jana. We brought her today. So one of the things that is a priority, Jana, for mom was increasing June's language.
Okay.
And so one of the things we've been working on is songs and her filling in the last word of a song. So like Twinkle, Twinkle, Little, and having June fill in star. How's that going?
It's going well. She's starting to do a little bit. Doesn't sound like star, but she's saying something in place of star.
Oh, good.
Nice. Mhm.
That's great.
Yeah.
Okay. So that's something we might continue. And the other thing Jana and I talked about, at school in particular, she likes to line up. We didn't have the dinosaurs out today, but she likes to line up the dinosaurs. So
Right.
say this is 3 fish, 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 fish. And so one of Jana's ideas was to sort of name those and just do fish, fish, fish. And that's it. And
Okay.
just stop there. And then what do you think she would do?
Can I show you that real
Yeah,
quick?
yeah.
Awesome.
Because I'm having
She
an
likes-
idea too about, you said she likes music, and I'm looking at those fish and duck. We could do maybe another song with that too.
Yeah.
If she's doing Twinkle, Twinkle, Little Star, she's saying something that doesn't sound like star,
Sure.
but
yeah.
she's filling in, right? So you've got some options. You could do something like a Twinkle, Twinkle, and let her now add Little Star.
Oh, add in another word.
Or you could say, you're doing star and that's great. So now let's do a fishy song. All the fish are swimming in the water. Bubble, bubble, bubble. After you teach her splash or pop, whatever.
Okay. So let me go to the next slide. Oops. Okay. So I think we saw one question about that. So that's kind of what it looks like. I feel like it's canned. It looks so just because there's no child. Sorry, but it didn't work that day. Lori, I know there was a question.
So we did have a comment that says, love the details such as not meeting in the driveway. Important to think about that before in the situation. That was from Melissa. And Jamie said, does Suzanne still complete a visit plan and visit tracker in addition to the form just talked about?
Actually, we use at Shawnee Mission School District, we use Penelope, but yes, I do have the visit plan and I have the PVR, and those I do put both into Penelope, which is our database that we use. I would say the form is something that comes from ITS, and that I go over it with them. So I don't necessarily have that form on my computer. And, and I would say, and like Lori said earlier, it's something that you might sit down and really go through and fill out when you're first starting. But now that we've been doing this so long, we kind of just talk about it. But it's not a plan I go onto my computer and fill out. And that comes from ITS, that plan does. Hope that answers your question.
Jamie said, thank you for clarifying. And Melissa had a question. I'm not familiar with Penelope. Is that software?
Yes, Penelope, so when I first started, they were just in parents as teachers, they were moving from handwritten, which some of you may still do, And then I did Visit Tracker for several years, and now we do Penelope, but it's just a software database where we go in and put our plans, our screenings, and our write-ups.
So on our end, with infant toddler services, I would actually probably take a screenshot of that and scan it into the child's file so that it's there, so that we just have the information, the background that we know that we've done that.
Melissa said, thank you.
You're welcome. All right. So the last thing that we're going to talk about is the provider side of collaboration. And I just feel like the benefit, there are so many strengths, there are so many positives about collaboration as a professional. When we first started as an agency at Infant Toddler doing primary coaching, I was a nervous wreck because we'd have to walk in and they would say, hey, I've got a kiddo that needs help with so-and-so. And I would need to come up with some of this information on the fly. And I had already practiced for 15 years and all of those things. And I was still like, so it was tricky, but there's so many strengths. Suzanne's going to talk about the first part.
So, it's the first one, educate yourself, know your resources. We all come, I think we're all from Kansas, right? So, but we all come from different communities. I grew up actually in Western Kansas. There's totally different resources out there where now I live in the Shawnee Mission School District area, totally different resources. It's so important to educate yourself and know your resources. And I feel like as our Parents as Teachers program, we do a really good job at staff meetings or just among ourselves, sharing information, meeting with different agencies, having them come in and do talks at our staff meetings. I know we did something with Johnson County Library just last Saturday. We're actually reaching out to working with Charlie's House this year, which talks about home safety. So it's so important to gather that information, know your resources, and share those resources with your families. And if you know it like that, if you know those things, it's so easy oh yeah, I know who to call this person, text this person. And hopefully it'll get easier for those families to share that information. Yearly agency meetings, because we work a lot primarily with ITS, they're probably one of the number one resources or agencies we work with. We actually collaborate and we'll meet with them yearly. And we're actually meeting with them this month to go over, changes in procedure, employee. And sometimes you might know a family is meeting with, Tiffany for speech, and it's nice that you can see and meet with Tiffany and talk to Tiffany. So sometimes those yearly agency meetings are a great way to, get more information from those agencies that you do work with often.
So the other part about the strength side, the benefits of collaborating with an agency are you grow as a provider. I have to be willing to share my information with somebody, and somebody has to be willing to share their information with me. That's team collaboration. It's huge. It is by sharing the ownership of what you know and sharing that with another agency. It is for the children and always about the children. And we have to put ourselves secondary to that family. We're all in this. We all do this job that is taxing. And by giving that information and sharing what you know about them is really important. The families are better off for it. We are better off for it. I am a much more rounded provider because I have collaborated with other agencies and I've learned information from them that I can share with other families and vice versa. We grow as providers when we collaborate. It helps us fill our bag of tricks so that we can take all of those tricks to help meet the needs of our families.
Absolutely.
So here's just our information real quick. If you have any questions that you want to email or anything else. Looks like is there another question? Oh, somebody's in Tennessee. Hello, Tennessee.
Rob is in Tennessee.
Oh, Lori is.
Nice.
Oh,
Very
Rob.
Rob.
Rob. Yes,
That's
Rob is.
awesome. Welcome, Rob. All right. Well, if there aren't any other questions, we flew through that. Oh, somebody else.
Rob just said thank you.
You're welcome. All right. Well, you have a bonus, I don't know, 45 minutes maybe?
Yes.
Okay. Well, we're happy to stay on for a few minutes if somebody wants to ask questions. Otherwise, we are done. Feel free to download that form. It's pretty cool.
Okay, so to do the form, if you wanted to find it, if you go back to the platform in Pathable, there's where it says chat, polls, file, and people. Just click on the files and you can download the form, the joint activity planning tool from there. Does anybody have any questions? No, we just had thank you, ladies, from Melissa. Denise said thank you.
Okay. Excellent. Oh, good. Thank you. All right, Lori, I guess we'll, who would contact to collaborate if you are a parent getting ITC? Probably infant toddler services. Is that right, Julie? Who would you contact to collaborate if you know a parent? Yes. So if you haven't, probably our agency that you would call infant toddler services of Johnson County and probably leave a message on the voicemail system, and they can contact you, or your family should be able to contact you, tell you who their provider is, so that you could collaborate together. Probably the family knows. That's happened to me before too. I've been in a home and I didn't know the family had family conservancy coming in, and that was my bad. But then it was nice because I could collaborate with them and help the family with their needs. So I'm new in Kansas. Thanks. Welcome. Yeah, sure. Yes, call whatever agency, because I'm in Johnson County. If you're not in Johnson County, I would just call that main number on Infant Toddler's website and see who their provider is.
Do we have any more questions? Shelley
Yes,
said it might also
correct.
be called Tiny K.
Yes, it could be
Okay.
Tiny K. That's
Yes.
correct. Thank you, Shelley. Yes,
Is that what they call it in Missouri?
that's the whole Kansas state level.
Oh, okay,
Tiny
that's
K.
right. Tiny K is over all of it.
Right.
Well, if we don't have any more questions, you do have about an hour till the next session. Please make sure to join us at 3:30 for the other 4 breakout sessions. We have some really good ones going on. But until then, you're free to go.
All right. Thank you.
Thanks
Thanks,
for joining
everyone.
us.
Thanks for joining.
Bye, Lori.
Bye.